Well, hello, and we're glad you're back with us today. In thinking about what to talk about today, I found a nice quote on the email today that someone sent in. So I wanted to start with that, and then it sets up an opportunity for me to talk about something that happened yesterday with my mind and kind of how we can use mind training where the rubber hits the road. So here's the quote, and it comes from Lama Yeshe. When you study Buddhism, you're studying yourself, the nature of your body, speech, and mind. The main emphasis being on the nature of your mind and how it works in everyday life. Why is it so important to know the nature of your own mind? Since we all want happiness, enjoyment, peace, and satisfaction, and since these things do not come from ice cream, but from wisdom and the mind, we have to understand what the mind is and how it works. So I thought it might be useful to just take a situation that happened yesterday and talk about it. So when we talk about the nature of the mind, conventionally it's described in all the writings and teachings as just clarity and awareness. What does that mean? So anyway, that's a good thing to ponder. What is the nature of clarity? What's the nature of awareness? But yesterday, I found myself just in a flash of emotions, all of a sudden seeming to come from nowhere, but of course nothing comes from nowhere, and had quite a reaction to something that a Dharma friend here said. And then was able to sit down with that person and just apologize for my reaction, and then hear from him what was happening for him, which is always a good thing to be able to do. And we are able to do that quite nicely here after all the time we've been together and been rocks and tumblers. But then I went away and I spent meditation time thinking about what was that wave that came up in myself, because I can never know what's going on in someone else, and also that's not where I'm going to do my work. I'm not going to, I can't fix anybody else, so I have to be fixing here, what's going on here. And this is this quote, we have to look at how this works in our everyday life. So we can read all the books, listen to all the meditations, we can go to lots of courses, but if we don't then apply it right when we're swamped with frustration or swamped with some kind of reaction and look at it and pull it apart, then we don't make much headway, I think. Can we make much quicker headway? So I'm not done meditating on this, but I noticed a couple components, because one time, not so many months ago, I had another very strong reaction in a group to somebody else saying something. And again, ended up kind of having to go apologize and look at, wow, no matter what someone says, my reactions is way over the top compared with what's going on in the external circumstances. So I just share this as kind of ways to start looking. So I started thinking, what are the common circumstances for me between those two? Well, one is it's in a group, and the second thing is I feel like, and it's just a feeling, it's not what's happening, I'm being misunderstood, misquoted, mislabeled, kind of. And then this huge something comes up of, I must defend myself, And I mean, against nothing that's happening out there, but I must defend myself. And especially when I go back and talk with both people, there was nothing going on over there there was no attack. But, and then looking at, okay, attachment, aversion, it's really good to go right there. What am I attached to? What am I averse to? So I started thinking, what's the attachment in a group? Feeling like misunderstood. Okay, it's reputation stuff, I mean, that's pretty simple steps. And then start looking, why would I care so much amongst people who are just fine with me that, something said or not said? And it was interesting because it took me to quite a deep place last evening. And for me, underneath reputation isn't so much the praise and blame stuff, but an actual fear. It's almost like dropping into a fear place, that if I'm misunderstood, and this is just my own psychology, this might not be yours, but I'm just pointing out ways you can go with these kind of incidences. That the fear is, if I'm misunderstood in the group and everyone kind of agrees to that misunderstanding, then it will be a situation of some kind of attack, either verbally, physically, or a kind of you're thrown out thing. So my next step now is to look at, where's that coming from? You know, I mean, is this something that's happened in my life? And not to get all tangled in it, but to get in there to understand and then say real clearly, A, that's not what's happening now. B, I understand how my mind works about that. C, I need to be a little more compassionate to myself when I'm in groups, just kind of, you know, more aware that I have reactions that way. And then to take refuge, you know, because whenever fear comes up, it's all about, what's my refuge in? Is my refuge in staying in a certain group? Is my refuge in what people think of me? Well, good luck, because what, as Venerable often says, what people think of us shifts around all the time. And if you watch your own mind about how you're thinking about people you're around, you know, this 5 minutes you like them because they did what you want. This 5 minutes you don't like them because they didn't do what you want. So the mind goes like yo-yo. So to use these kind of things then to come out with a Dharma conclusion, as Venerable Tarpa often says, you can come out with a Dharma conclusion, not some other kind of conclusion that leads you into more despair or fear or whatever, but to come out with the conclusion that I can be compassionate with myself, I can understand more about this, and to deepen my refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, which are the reliable refuge. So I hope that's helpful.